for you.
Okay.
Got a Syracuse tie on?
Okay, I'd like to I'd like to welcome everybody to the Monday, February 25th Town of Monroe Board Meeting. You have two exits behind you, one behind us to our left, your right. If you could turn off all your phones, and if we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business tonight is a public hearing to amend Chapter 51, Article 2 regarding overnight parking, and Article 3 regarding truck and bus exclusions of the town code. I would like to make a motion to open up the public hearing regarding the same.
Cologne, a second. Can you hear me?
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin aye.
Okay. Also, for the record, Councilman Scancarello has the flu, and he texted me about 6 o'clock. He will not be here.
Okay, duly noted.
I wouldn't have wanted him here because he would have sat in between Councilman McGinn and I as well. So.
It's like old times.
Just like old times, right. Okay. So, I'll turn it over to our esteemed counsel, Mr. Nugent.
Thank you, Supervisor. So this is a public hearing, as you stated, to amend Chapter 51. It's basically two changes to that chapter. One concerns overnight parking, and in substance, that change is to prohibit the parking when there's actually a forecast of snow or ice, rather than just a blanket policy of no overnight parking. And the second portion of the chapter being amended concerns overweight truck traffic, and the description is in the local law, but it's on Forest Avenue going into the village from the town. It will be to prohibit truck traffic from turning onto that roadway.
Okay.
And so there is no further requirements. It's up to the board. You can close the public hearing tonight and adopt, or you can continue, whatever your preference.
Okay. John, did you want
That's
to...
Forest Avenue and Scunnamunk Street, correct? For the weights?
Yeah, just for the record, so the description is Forest Avenue from the intersection of Scunnamunk Street, Forest Road, and Forest Avenue to the intersection of Forest Avenue and Franklin Avenue. And then on Scunnamunk Street from intersection of Scunnamunk Street, Forest Road, and Forest Avenue to the intersection of Scunnamunk Street and Smithfield Avenue. And that's where there would be adding those sections to the truck and bus exclusions in the chapter.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's basically largely because the village has the same exceptions leading up to that section of roadway.
Yes.
Yeah. What happens over there is somebody crossing over from 17 from the Scunnamunk side of 17, a truck would cross over, they would be in the town, and then they would get into the village, and at that point, there'd be a violation.
Right.
So in order to, create any inconsistencies there, a few months ago, I had a conversation, more than a few months ago, it was probably about 7 or 8 months ago, a conversation with the police chief, and he asked in order to alleviate that inconsistency that we pass some sort of, well, he actually said to put a sign up there, and I said, well, we have to pass, a town law, so. So does anybody from the public want to speak?
Lorraine Loney.
Hi, good evening. Lorraine Learning, Village of Monroe. I would have liked to have heard all that or seen all that stuff on the website. It just said that you were going to change or amend Chapter 51. You didn't say how or what times or anything, so I feel unprepared and not able to comment correctly, but, I mean, it seems like you're just going to mirror what the village is doing, so that's okay. I do have a question about enforcement, though. Who's going to be doing this? Is it the state police? I mean, realistically, is that,
State police in the town, village police in the village.
and is that happening in the village?
Yeah,
It
oh yeah,
is.
yeah, it's happening already in
And
the
the
village.
state police will be on board there?
I don't know if the state police is gonna actually enforce local law, but I know they'll, if there was per se an accident or something to where
Right.
there was even, personal injury, they have at least the right to enforce that at that point.
Got it.
Actually, as the delays between them, I discussed it with the station commander there already, that it was something we were anticipating doing, so they're aware of it, whether they enforce it or not. I mean, they can enforce
Right.
town code, town law if they want, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
They have a commercial vehicle enforcement unit that does, work in the area quite a bit, so.
And it's gonna help us out too, as far as the heavier traffic on our roadways, so this is, important for the highway department as well, so.
Anyone else? Anyone from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, more to do with the overnight parking. Section 51-3.1 states when 2 inches or more. Do we have to amend Section 3.1 to be consistent with what we're changing here tonight? And then in Section 51-5, traffic violations. Again, if it's going to be the state troopers, that would be my answer if the supervisor mentioned tonight that the state troopers would be enforcing it. And then in 51-4, it says removal of the vehicles. Does Highway have the ability to tow the vehicles? And if not, would we then have to look for some kind of a tow truck operator to remove the vehicles from the roads?
Well, can I answer that?
Sure.
First off, there's a number of heavy truck operators in the area that move the trucks off the thruway. We have one in the village, and then there's one up towards Newburgh Way.
I'm not talking about heavy vehicles. I'm talking about a regular car that's parked out in the street, and if John has to come plow, who's going to remove that vehicle?
Well,
Highway's not going to remove it, but they have the ability to call someone to have it removed.
That's all.
Okay, well, that was my question.
And that would be charged to the vehicle owner, not the highway. So we would call Loyals per se, who we use all the time. They would come out, tow the vehicle, if need be. It's not something that we want to do, but if it's a constant issue, it's going to happen.
Right, because some towns have official tow truck operators, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, we don't have an official tow truck operator per se, but we do have Loyal that we use all the time for any of our equipment that breaks down. And I actually used Loyal on a couple jobs that we had to move a vehicle that was.
Aren't they still licensed for going the thruway as well?
That rotates, but, yeah, they are, but that rotates.
Right, but.
Yeah, they have a list, right.
They're official, they can handle just about anything.
Mary, what was your comment about Section 3 with 2 inches?
3.1, I believe somewhere in there, it states if there's 2 inches or more. So do we need to revise that section of the code as well?
That is what we're revising.
That's what we're revising.
Replacing that section.
Okay.
It says it in the first sentence. Section 51-3.1, parking after snowfall is hereby repealed and replaced.
Okay, I see it. And one final question. The signs that are out on the town streets now, I believe most of them read when 2 inches or more, so would you have to replace those signs? with new
Those signs would be starting to get replaced, yes. Once this is adopted and we have the wordage the way they need to be, then I will start making up signs. It's not going to all happen in 1 year possibly, but some of our troubled areas first, and then keep moving throughout the throughout the town.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure, monetarily speaking, how much it's going to be to replace all these signs, but I don't think it's going to be a tremendous amount of money. But it might be able to be done in 1 year, or maybe twice. 2 years. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone else from the public? Okay, if there's no other comments, I will make a motion to close the public hearing to amend, to close the public hearing to amend Chapter 51, Article 2, overnight parking, and Article 3, truck and bus exclusions of the Monroe Town Code. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Now we need a motion to approve the local law.
We have a resolution in there.
Wanna
I'll
read
make,
it? Do you wanna read it? Yeah.
all right, so I'll make that motion that we pass this resolution regarding the enactment of that new local law. Or amending Chapter 51, sorry. I'm
Okay.
going to do the, just skip the whereases and go to the now therefore it be resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clause are incorporated herein by reference as if set full force herein, fully herein. Section 2, the town board hereby determines that the adoption of the local law is a type 2 action as defined Part 617 of the NYCRR pertaining to safety, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, better known as SECRA. The town board hereby adopts the local law entitled "A Local Law to Amend Articles 2 and 3, Chapter 51 of the Town Code of the Town of Monroe entitled Overnight Parking and Trucks and Buses Exclusions," a copy of which is attached here too and made part hereof. Section 4, the town board hereby directs the town clerk to enter the local law into the minutes of the town board meeting, to enter the local law into the local law book of the town, and to give due notice of the adoption of the local law to the Secretary of State. Section 5, the town supervisor and any town official or employee as directed by the town is authorized to take any actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately. The question adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a roll call vote as follows.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, closed the public hearing, made the motion. Just one announcement I have. We received a letter from an individual named Anna Gill. It was a thank you note, and she basically said, thank you to a couple of the gentlemen that helped me on 12919 when my car went into a ditch. It was really nice of them to help me out of the car and let me sit in one of their trucks. Also, they were telling me that everything will be okay, and also contacted the police. They also waited until my parents came. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. And that was John's crew as well as our maintenance department. She was coming around the turn, from what I was told, by the senior center, and couldn't negotiate the curve going towards the bus garage and ended up in the ditch on the bus garage side. So thank you. Thank you guys very much. Your efforts are always appreciated, and I know you're always there for everyone in the community. Item 4.1, the original, I'm not sure if everyone has the revision on this. Everybody's got the revision? Okay, so there are two audits of claims. The first one is abstract number 19-004 from the general fund containing check numbers 23592 through 23775, totaling $5,039,772.10. So I would like to make a motion to approve that.
I'll
Those
second.
payments, second it. And just so, brief, quick discussion, there are three major checks in there. One is for the library for $1,354,325. There's another one in there for the fire district, which amounts to $55,831.78, which they are in their budgets. And then there is the other two higher ones, which were 2019 joint share activity for the Monroe Joint Parks and Recreation Commission, which is $302,000, and the 2019 share from Moodna for a truck, which was $515,920.08.
And the other point you should make, too, is all that money is budgeted. We don't have to use any reserves or anything. It is budgeted.
Those are, most of those are contracts, so to speak. Library's a contract, fire district contract. The joint share of the activity for the Park Commission is budgeted, and Moodna is basically funded by the residents who are in the Moodna district, so. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Second abstract is abstract number 19-003, escrow containing check 1842 through 1845, totaling $9,314.50, and that is from the Planning and ZBA, I believe. Yes. Those are checks written out to, it's from the ZBA and Planning for $9,314.50.
I will second that again.
Okay, any other questions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, thank you. If everyone had a chance to read the minutes of February 4th, 2019?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Cologne, the second.
No, I was asking for a motion.
Oh, I'll make the
You
motion.
make the motion, second?
I will second.
Any discussion? Any changes, alterations, revisions, etc.? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. New business. John, you want to, you and Dom want to, I don't
Sure.
know if, Dom, if you want to go up by the mic, or, you don't have to, if you want John to handle it.
We'll go with it. Basically, between Dial-A-Bus and myself and Supervisor Cardone, we interviewed 5 people for the mechanics position, which will be partially funded by Dial-A-Bus and partially funded by Highway. We had 5 individuals that came to our interviews. All of them were qualified individuals, and we decided to go with Mr. Eric Kowalski at the rate of $29.72 an hour, and I was hoping for town board approval for that.
Okay, I will make the motion, based on John and Dom's assessment, to hire Eric Kowalski as a town mechanic at the rate of
29.
$29.72.
I'll second. Cologne, the second.
Just some discussion. So 50% of that salary and benefits and other items associated with his employment will be reimbursed to the town through the Dial-A-Bus program. So we're getting a full-time mechanic at half the cost. He will be operating 50% with Dial-A-Bus and 50% with the town, and Dom and John will coordinate Eric's schedule regarding, and Eric, I will tell you that this is one of the more stand-up young men you want to meet in your life. He was extremely honest with us. He's a hard worker. He's showing a lot of responsibility, and I know that myself, and I'm sure everybody else look forward to having him on board. So,
And more importantly, it'll save us money that we're now contracting out to have a lot of these repairs done that can be done in-house that we've spent, especially on the Dial-A-Bus end, a considerable amount of money over the last 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
Oil changes and things like that that cost us a lot of money, a lot more than it should, will be a significant savings for the town, so,
It's going to be a good asset to the
Yes.
taxpayers of this town, for sure.
absolutely. So,
So,
money well spent.
so without any further ado, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again,
Okay, so moved. Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you. Certificate of insurance from the tax collector.
Now,
Go home and get some sleep, because John's going to get you starting early.
And then need it.
One other question, John, he starts March
he can start Friday, I believe.
March 1st, right? Yeah, okay.
Yep, that's the pay schedule.
All right.
See you Friday, Eric.
See you then. Thank you, Eric.
Take care.
So item 6.2, certificate of insurance from the tax collector. Madam Clerk.
Okay, every year, I ask the town board to sign the certificate of liability insurance for the tax collector. It has to be filed in the county. Our insurance company gives it to us, renews it every January 29th. Then I present it to the town board for signatures. Then it has to go up on file in the county. And on the last day of taxes, when I bring up everything to the county, as long as everything is in order, I get a collector's settlement, and the liability insurance is then released for that time period. So I'm asking the town board to make a motion to approve to sign it, and then for all the board members to sign it.
All right, I'll make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the insurance contract pending review of the town attorney.
I'll second that. Any other questions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again,
Okay, so moved. Pass that, have Mary Ann hold on to that. Yep. Okay, item 6.3. We had applied for a Orange County Executive Arts, Heritage, and Tourism Grant back in August. This was supposed to be approved for the fall season, and the application was done for our food truck festival in October. There was a changeover in the tourism department, employees and leadership, and we have finally gotten approval on it. We have to pass a resolution tonight to approve $2,500 through the 2018-19 County Executive Arts, Heritage, and Tourism Grant Program to accept the grant funding. So go ahead, Rick.
You're gonna, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. I'll second. Rick made the motion, I'll second it. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Just so you know, Jen Schnorrs was very instrumental in applying for this grant and seeing it to fruition and following through with everything associated with it. Okay, next item, 6.4, pesticide treatment for Round Lake. In accordance with the stipulations of the New York State DEC aquatic pest control permits, we need to pass a resolution authorizing Solitude Lake Management to conduct pesticide treatments during the 2019 season in Round Lake. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll second, well,
Go ahead.
Supervisor, do you want a second?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I want to have a question.
Sure, can.
We have a contract with Round Lake, so this is already as part of the contract with them?
Yeah, this is part of it. We just have to pass a resolution authorizing them.
Okay.
Yep.
Who seconded that?
Cologne.
Okay. Any other questions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 6.5, the lease agreement for the new dial buses. Yep, we have 2 new dial buses that have been in our yard for about a month and a half, right? Takes a while for all the paperwork and whatnot to get through the county. So we need to approve a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the lease agreements for the 2 new dial buses. We also will have 4 other new ones coming, bringing the total to 6 new ones this year.
And that's to maintain our dial bus fleet. I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded. Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Come on, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring that up. Okay. Item 6.6, which is the revised road name plan from Smith Farm. I know it's Mr. Kosar's here. You want to come up and speak? I'll have Mr. McGinn give a brief summary. No?
I mean, I'll comment on it.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Ronald Kosser. I'm the project attorney for the Smith Farm Development. What we have before you is an application for revised road name plan for the Smith Farm subdivision. The reason for the proposal is twofold. We never really had any input into the designation of the street names as the developer. There was too much going on at the time the maps were filed. And what we have tried to do is make some of the names shorter, and the others are just comfort level with the developer. There would be no prejudice to the town because no names have been ordered, street names have been ordered or installed. And I don't even think they're ready for regular traffic yet, in terms of the finishing of the road, the macadam and all that stuff, because we're still in construction. So that's the purpose of the proposed revised road name plan.
Good.
Is there a reason that the developers didn't like the names that were previously selected?
I don't think it's a question of like or dislike. It's just what they felt more comfortable with. They weren't focused on this at the time it was done. There was just too much happening. And I'm marveling, I'm sitting here as an aside, and it's just a regular nice meeting, quiet, no screaming.
The last time you were here, it was probably a little more.
I almost thought I was in the wrong room. So
It's early.
I mean, personally, my own feelings about this are that the names selected by the developers, while they're people that were politicians here in the town. Listen, this town lost 6 people on 9/11. It's lost dozens of people between World War I, II, Korea, and Vietnam, and Desert Storm. We've had civilians, police officers, and firemen in this town die from 9/11 related illness. If we're going to pick names of people to put on streets, it seems that those people that I previously just mentioned, all those categories, they should really be the names that are going on the streets. Nothing against Mr. Weeks or the former supervisor or anyone like that. I know the previous board went down this road and they were trying to put names on using, activists and all sorts of other craziness. And listen, I think there's got to be either historical significance to the names that are chosen or something that's a little bit more than politicians.
Councilman
And those
McGinn,
politicians are in my party, so it's not like, it's just, I don't feel that that's appropriate. That's my opinion as a board member, and the rest of the board can opine on it.
Councilman McGinn, there was a meeting, and I know Gary Abrignani, who was on the planning board at the time, went to the meeting where the road names were discussed. You're correct, usually it's historical. I believe some of those names are the daughters of the family that lived there, so there's a historical significance to them. So I'm happy with the original names that were submitted.
Yeah, those are fine. I'm fine with those as well. I just the renaming using previous town officials and politicians. I just don't don't feel it's appropriate, you know.
Right.
Again, my opinion, and we'll discuss it as a board here, but that's, and no offense to the developers, it's just, you know, how we feel about it. How I
That's
feel
just,
about
that's just my client's input.
it. Yeah, no, I
And
understand.
they just felt more comfortable with the names that they proposed to be selected. And again, nothing is, no name, signed, street names have been posted or anything, or even ordered. So we would respectfully request that you just try to consider the wishes of the developer. They've invested a lot of money in the project, and they're moving along quite well, actually, slow but steady. And all the relations with the town building inspector has been very good.
Are they looking at change, are they looking at changing the names in the village portion?
Yeah, I think there was, if my recollection's correct, I don't have the map, I think it was only one street.
All right. All right, thanks, and again, it's not anything against you or them, it's just my personal opinion, and we'll discuss it as a board.
Yeah, we're not going to make a decision tonight.
Okay.
We'll definitely discuss it.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know our reasons. and,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no,
They
no worries.
didn't consider Casa Boulevard?
Actually, there's a street in Ellenville named Concert Place.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
My
good.
grandfather had a
Oh,
development.
great, good for you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
You
good.
can't use
He
Costa, and you can't
named
use
each-
Nugent, so those
he
are two
named
names
each,
out of the mix right there, you know?
He named each of the streets, the other streets, after, he had 15 grandchildren. So,
Oh, wow.
So I actually have
Wow.
a street named after me.
Oh, that's neat.
So I'm famous in Ellenville.
All right. We promise not to go steal the sign, don't worry.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Supervisor Cardone, I also want to reach out to our highway department to make sure that none of the addresses have been given to 911 as far as the street names, because that would be a extra complication.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, we'll make sure there's no duplications there.
Okay, old business. Item 7.1, I'd like to table after our executive session so we could discuss it.
I'll
Little
second
bit.
that.
You second that? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Big and I.
Okay. Thank you, so moved. 7.2, zoning board of appeals fee schedule. Mary?
Okay, I know we're looking for alternate members, and Myrna Chemnitz had,
No, Mary, we're on appeals fee schedule.
7-2.
We tabled
Sorry.
7.1.
okay. I thought you were going to reach out to Mike Murphy, and we had gotten some input from Noreen, the secretary, so I don't have anything additional to add on this.
Okay, so we'll table it to the
Till
first
next-
meeting in March. Call it, I'd like to table that to the, item 7.2 till the first March meeting.
I'll second that.
Monday.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Big and I.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.3, the WIA grant resolutions.
Okay, maybe Mr.
That's
Nugent
what-
should start us off on
That's what I
that.
was going to suggest. Mr. Nugent?
Well, it's a long, sordid story, but, so with the resolutions, there was an issue concerning secra on the prior resolutions that were adopted in 2018. I believe the bond resolution was okay, but there was a second resolution that was passed at the time that referred to the grant being a type 2 action. One of the problems was it referred to the grant rather than the project itself, and this project involves replacement of well house, replacement of a couple of tanks on the site. So in discussions with the state, I did speak to Mr. Montisco today from the water, health department, water quality section today. And he initially took the view that, said their view is that if you're replacing a water tank with something larger, that it's not a type 2 action. I advised them of the case. I had previously emailed them in the second department that had said in a similar situation, a large water tank was being replaced at a different location on the site. It was increased by 250,000 gallons, and the appellate division held that it was a type 2 action. So I sent them the actual case itself today, asked them to review that with their legal counsel. So my recommendation tonight is that in the interest of time, I expect, and I could be wrong, but I expect their legal department's going to come back after reviewing that case and determine that it is a type 2 action. So I have a resolution tonight that would declare this as a type 2 and explain the sections of the regulations as to why it is a type 2, essentially being a replacement in kind, and the well house itself being a less than 4,000 square foot project. So if we adopt the resolution and the state does come back and say something different, we just don't need to act on it. In other words, we'll pass the resolution tonight as a type 2 and hold it until we hear back from the state. If they disagree, then we may have to revisit SECRA. If they do agree, we'll already be done, with this resolution passed. And the bond resolution should be fine because it already indicates it's a type 2 action. So I don't think we need to re-adopt the bond resolution. And I spoke to Mr. Gubis today on that. So that's really it. So you have a resolution, tonight that would determine that the project's a type 2 for the replacement in kind as to the water tanks, and independently under a different section of the regulations with respect to the well house, it's a construction or expansion of a primary non-residential structure involving less than 4,000 square feet. I believe the square footage on this is 671 square feet, so it's much smaller. And so that's the resolution that's before the board. If you want to adopt it, we can do that, and then I'll recommend that we don't take any action on it. They expected that we would hear back in 2 or 3 days from the state on their position.
So, do you need one of us to read this?
Yes.
All right, so when we pass this right down to Mary.
Yes, you should.
It's a little tongue-tied on the last one, Mary. You're the water woman. You can jump right in there.
Portion, unless you really want to read all the whereas, you're free to.
It's only one page. I think I can handle one page. Okay. So resolution of secret determination regarding water infrastructure improvement Act project in Water District 12. Whereas the Town of Monroe Town Board previously adopted resolutions concerning a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, WIA, grant project for Water District 12 relating to construction of a new well house, water tank replacements, and other renovations, the project, and whereas the prior resolution regarding SECRA adopted by the Town Board did not clearly identify the secret determination was made based on the project work, and whereas the Town Board has reviewed the proposed project and desires to adopt this resolution setting forth the Town Board's determination with respect to SECRA. Now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as if set forth fully herein. Section 2, the Town Board hereby determines that the proposed project is a Type 2 action under SECRA pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5 C2 as a replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building, energy, or fire codes that does not meet or exceed any of the thresholds in Section 6 NYCRR 617.4. Section 3, further and independently from Section 2 above, with respect to the well house structure, the Town Board determines that the project work is a Type 2 action under SECRA pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5 C9 as constructed or expansion of a primary or accessory appurtenant, thank you, non-residential structure or facility involving less than 4,000 square feet of gross floor area and not involving a change in zoning or a use variance and consistent with local land use controls. Section 4, the town supervisor and town clerk are hereby authorized and directed to take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 5, this resolution shall be effective immediately. And the question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote, a roll call vote, which resulted as follows. And now we would need
So
a motion
who
to
made the
adopt
motion?
this. No one.
No one made the motion yet.
I'll make a
so-
motion to adopt this.
Then you have to read the whole resolution.
Motion made by Councilwoman Bingham, Second,
Cologne will second.
Cologne, Councilman Cologne, second. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye. Well read.
Okay, so
Except
moved.
one word.
Thank you. Okay, so moved. So we have the revised electrical services RFP. So before us, we have the revision for the electrical services, which stipulates that it's for the town of Monroe Water District facilities as necessary. Pretty much the remainder of it is the same.
We did also add a site visit.
Yeah, site visit by appointment through the highway administrator, Bob Picciotti. So if no one has any questions or concerns, we should probably approve this to get this out for an RFP.
Which one? Plumbing?
No, electrical.
Electrical, right?
Yeah.
Do we need dates from the town clerk?
Yeah, I would recommend first that we do them one at a time, and then
Yep.
the resolution can be to authorize the issuance of the RFPs with the return dates and other information to be filled in by the town clerk at her discretion.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we have the proposal for electrician services, Town of Monroe Water District's facilities as necessary, with the town clerk to identify the dates as needed.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 7.5, same goes for the revised plumbing services RFP. Same addition was added regarding a walkthrough and
Subject to the approval of the
subject
dates.
to the approval of the dates from our town clerk.
I'll second. I'll make the proposal.
You make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
second with
Oh.
just comments.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bingham, you did a tremendous job doing getting both these RFPs together, and I know you've spent quite a bit of time, so good
And
good
Mr.
work.
Nugent as well and his staff.
Yes, well, Mr. Nugent,
It's all
yes,
Councilwoman Bingham.
yes, if I ever get into a contract, I want you to review it to make sure I'm in good standing. But no, excellent work. On behalf of the board, we all thank you for your diligence.
Absolutely.
So the town board knows it will be posted in the newspaper March 1st with a return date of Friday, March 15th. And there's a town board meeting on Monday, March 18th. So we will get everything out to the board to review for the weekend.
Okay. Could I also ask that the town clerk notify the former recipients to the
yes,
RFP that the
absolutely.
new one is out?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, I'd like to call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item number 8, public comment. We have a list?
Yes, we do. Ward Brower?
Well, Brown, private citizen. Well, at least we amended the highway law for the parking, overnight parking. Well, what I requested last year to amend, and we never did, was when we upgraded the zoning and we created or made non-compliant the 40,000 square foot lot, which is known as, and the profession is known as a builder's acre. The problem is that zoning was in effect since the mid-1950s up until 2018. So there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of people or lot owners or homeowners who were affected by that. Now, I recommended that we grandfather them like every other. In my brief history of attending these boards, which goes back 30 years, every board always put a grandfather clause in when you had such a change such as this. This was the first one I'd never seen without a grandfather clause. So now what you do, you took law-abiding citizens who went by the rules, built their home, bought their property, now they're not in compliance. That's not right. Should have been a grandfather clause in there, and it should have been done. And I know everyone, even the much maligned former supervisor would never have passed this thing. And if he did, if you brought it to his attention, he would have corrected it within a month. Needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all that we have signed up. I don't know if anybody
Anybody else
came in.
want to speak?
Okay, we do have a resident who couldn't make it here this evening, and a resident gave me a public comment from her, if you would like me to read it. Blockbusting is an illegal business practice whereby real estate agents and building developers aggressively attempt to convince property owners to sell their homes. By using this intimidation tactics, that soon their neighborhoods will be predominantly inhabited by a certain racial or religious group, they attempt to strike fear into the homeowners that will cause a mass exodus at below-market housing prices. Unfortunately, the Monroe residents have been reporting this type of high-pressure real estate tactic happening in their neighborhoods. Many of their municipalities surrounding Monroe, including Blooming Grove and Chester, have already begun combating unwanted solicitations by establishing a no-knock registries where homeowners declare their home off limits to solicitors. Although realtors can obtain permits which allow them legally to approach homeowners, once the homeowner has opted into the no-knock registry, they are then off limits. While the Village of Monroe has already instituted a no solicitation project policy, the town of Monroe is just beginning the process. Once the registration is established, homeowners can opt into the registry, and residents can be issued do not knock decals. As I learned from the town clerk, Mary Ellen, the town is working on creating a no solicitation ordinance and is planning to hold a public hearing and get a law passed by this March. I would like to thank the board for taking this action. I'm sure that you will make it a top priority and set a date for the public hearing. I'm sure I speak for many of the residents when I say there will be a strong support for this ordinance. And this is from Christina Kiesel. And I would like an opportunity, I spoke to the supervisor about this, to address this after public comment.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I
Okay.
believe that's all we have.
I think that's it. Okay. Make a motion. Well, did you want to talk about it now?
Yeah, last April, we passed a very large amendment to our peddling and solicitation, and in there is talk of a no solicitation for the property owners. I've come up with a list, and I went over them with the supervisor, of amendments to that chapter. I would like that part to read no-knock registry, because it doesn't, it's not there, you don't see it. No one has seen it. When you read it, it just doesn't jump at you. So we do have it. I have the form in my office. It will be up on the website tomorrow. I encourage all town residents to sign up for it. How it will work is when somebody comes in for a peddling permit, they will be given this list. All it will have is the homeowner's address, no names, okay? And they also will get a town map of the roads in the town, because the peddlers are told that if they step into the village outside our boundaries, I will revoke their peddling permit, because they have been told where they can go. We do not have a sticker or a decal. That's something that we can discuss with the town board, that residents that sign up for this can put it on their homes. So there are amendments I would like to make. I would like to amend the hours. Right now, it's 9 to 7. I would like to put it 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. or dusk, whichever comes first. Then also, I would like to amend it that there's no peddling on Saturday or Sunday or federal holidays, but I do have to talk to the attorney about that part. And there's a few other things. The wording for where the no solicitation is, I would like to label it as no-knock registry and label that as our solicitation. So we can start the list. I will have the application. I encourage everybody to give us a call. We can email it and get it on file in our office.
I have a question, Mary Ellen. We have the peddler's law.
Yes.
So a Realtor is not considered a peddler if they want to, because...
I'm going to let the attorney step in on this one.
Okay.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, no, I think, real estate solicitation is addressed. It's not, in other words, within the realm of what realtors are allowed to do, but some cases there are people that aren't realtors going door to door. So, I understand the clerk's point there. It's not described in here as a no-knock law, but basically it is one. There's a registry, but it sounds like she wants to make that more clear. But it does address, the local law does address real estate agents or real estate activities as well as peddling. So we can talk to the clerk and then make whatever changes we can make to it that you would like to make.
Right, because
or at least present them to the board.
somebody, as a Realtor, is looking for business, just as somebody who's out looking for solar panels or water softeners or whatever. They're also looking for business, so I wanted to understand that distinction a little bit better.
Yeah. The attorney did look into the real estate agent's licensing, and they're allowed to get a peddler's permit.
Okay.
So just so we're clear, so to make these changes, Mr. Nugent, we'd have to take the recommended changes, incorporate them as a draft into the local law, and then have a public hearing on it?
Yeah, it would be a local
Just a
amendment, as
local
with any,
amendment?
like we did
Okay.
with the parking tonight. We would have a public hearing, we would propose the changes, so I'd recommend as a first step, I will, work with the town clerk to get her concerns, and we could do a kind of red line draft, and then, of course, the town board may have input on changes it would like to make, the ordinance as well. Then we can get a draft together, we introduce it, set a public hearing, and then we go from there with the same local law process.
Okay. Did you have a projected date you wanted to do this by?
Well, I can have my changes that I'm proposing to Brian within the next day or two. So I was
Put it on
hoping...
For the first meeting in March?
I was hoping we could set the public, well, it's up to Brian if you want to be ready to set the public hearing for the second meeting, March 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, the only requirement will be that, the town board needs to have the local law in hand 8 days before the public hearing. So as long as we have a draft at that time, and that's usually the same time that it would be put on the website for the public to access the draft, and then we have the public hearing. So I think the 18th should be fine. If I have the clerk's changes, we can redline that and present it to the board, let you make any comments you wish to make, and then introduce it. What's the meeting prior to the 18th?
Monday, March 4th.
Yeah, so March 4th, we should target, even though I know that's next week, but to target that as at least a introduction of the local law. And if the clerk gets me her changes, at least we can introduce it, set the public hearing. You can always make changes at the public hearing. It's just that if there are material changes, we'll have to continue the public hearing. That's the only catch. We can't adopt it if we make material changes.
I can have my changes to you no later than Wednesday.
Okay.
We'll take this up on the 5th then.
The 4th?
Fifth?
4th?
Fourth.
March 4th.
Fourth.
4th.
For the 5th,
So he said the 4th.
No, you said the fifth.
I said the 4th.
You pleaded
No,
the fifth.
I plead the 5th, yeah.
Please,
All right, sounds like a plan.
And then, can I make a comment regarding Ward's comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, let's make sure Mary Ellen's done.
I'm done. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that 40,000 square feet, I definitely agree with you. That's probably 90% of the residents' homes would need some kind of a variance. So it's something we're going to look into, see if we could rectify it.
Yeah, it is something we're looking at. and-
Sooner, not later.
Well,
listen,
we've been looking into it,
Yeah.
and it is a mistake we realized we made with the comp plan,
the
Not
comp plan-
not hiding from that,
The comp plan was obviously quite a large endeavor with a lot of moving parts and a lot of changes. So it was one of those things that but we are looking into making some changes that we realize have to be addressed, which is common with any comp plan that's adopted after a year and a half or so in existence, where you kind of realize there's a couple of wards in there that need to be warts, not wards, that need to be worked out. So I didn't want to make sure he's doing some
And
warts.
did I hear you correctly? You said ever since you've been defending boards? Or was it?
Attending.
Attending boards, okay.
Offending?
Rather, if
What's that?
Offending?
Yeah, that's, I didn't know what you said.
Just something we might want to address, because it came up tonight, and I've had this in other municipalities. The submission of correspondence and the reading of correspondence, I don't think we addressed that in your rules, the town board rules. So just so the town board understands, A, there's no obligation to read correspondence that's submitted at a town board meeting. There's also no obligation to make it part of the minutes verbatim. The only obligation is that you would say, letter received from
Acknowledge, yeah.
Mr. Jones on whatever date. So as we, consider changes to the rules, you may want to address that, because the concern is you can't pick and choose what you're going to read and not read. And, maybe subject to the 3-minute rule, but if you're going to allow it, then you typically would have to allow any correspondence, which sometimes can become burdensome if you start getting a lot of letters and they all say, please read this into the minutes. So
Yeah.
just something to consider. We don't need to act
Okay.
on it, but maybe we'll give that thought for the rules that we have in the town board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's separate, obviously, for public hearings where it's...
Yeah, it could just be another section about, written comments, basically. And we always advise people, if they can't cover the topic in the 3 minutes at the podium, they can certainly submit something in writing for the town board to review.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So if there's no other business, I would like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss litigation.
Is it attorney-client or executive?
It's attorney-client.
I'll second that motion for attorney-client.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Again, I-
Clarify that. It is pending litigation.
Pending litigation.
Yeah, attorney-client is not, you can go into executive session for
I know.
that, but you don't need a motion. We can do that any day, anytime. So this is actually a pending litigation in Orange County and in federal court.
I'd like to make a motion to come back into our regular session,
I will second that motion.
seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin, aye.
I'd like to make the motion to adjourn the meeting for February 25th, 2019.
I'll second that motion.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin, aye.
Okay.